Thank y'all for being here. Overall, again, you can take your hat off to Wyoming. I thought they played an outstanding game. Got a lot of respect, obviously, for Coach Bowl and what he does in his program and what they built there. I thought our guys played a tremendous game as well. I loved the way that we were physical throughout the football game. I thought our attitude and effort throughout the game was at a really good level. There's obvious things that we've got to clean up, things that we've got to continue to keep growing. I think we will do that. I know our guys are excited about getting back on the practice field today and getting an opportunity to get out there and go to work, continue to improve as a football team. I thought we saw some really good things as we worked through the game, things that we can build upon. But obviously, there's some things in there that we've got to correct, some things we got to get better, and I think our guys are locked into that. Obviously disappointed from the standpoint of the outcome of the game. Our guys were extremely disappointed from that side of it too, but also looking at it as an opportunity for us to come back home, get better. We're looking forward to playing at home. We've got a great opponent this week in Northern Illinois. I think Coach Hammock, we have not met before, but I know the tradition around that place. The last 10 to 15 years, that place has been unbelievable. I know he was an outstanding player there back in his day, and so this is going to be a great test for us. I mean, this is a team I think that went 9-5 last year, won the MAC championship, balanced in what they did week one. They were balanced throughout last year as far as there was games they really lit it up, scoreboard-wise and on the ground and in the air. And so we've got a great test in front of us. Offensively, we've got to continue to keep improving. Same thing defensively and special teams. So I think it'll be an exciting matchup. Looking forward to seeing our home crowd with all the different things we've done to the stadium and all of that part of it. I think it's going to be a great afternoon for football and should be a really exciting game.
Questions?
Can you talk about the mental state? How do you emotionally get the guys to emotionally bounce back from the disappointment from the
Yeah, I think for us, we always kind of have that 24-hour rule. We're going to come back in on Sunday. Our guys do a good job of coming in. They get their lift and they get their shakeout part of it. Then they come in, we break down the tape with them, go through it all, make the corrections that we need to make, see the things that we did well, but fix the things that we need to fix. I think our guys now are locked into our next opponent, which is going to be a great test for us, and looking to get back on the field to do that. I think that's been a trademark of who we've been throughout the years I've been here. I don't see that being any different. We got great leadership down in that locker room, and those guys understand that this is a long season, and this is just the first game of it. Understanding we got to get back on the right track of it, but getting back out, getting back to work, that's how we prepare and get that done.
Coach, real quick, can you talk about why Anthony Watkins and Deneric Prince are missing from the depth chart this week?
Yeah, we're going to kind of leave that where it is right now as we kind of work through some things. And both of those guys have been an asset to our program, still are an asset to our program. And, we're going to kind of leave it with that.
And real quick, after watching last week's film, what impressed you most about Davis Brin?
Well, I thought he handled situations really well. I thought he looked at working through the offense, taking things that they were giving him, not being too anxious about any of it. I thought our receivers did a really nice job of getting separation, creating space, finding matchups, doing that part of it. When you start the game off, it was a tough way to start, obviously. But that next drive, I think we went on a 13-play drive right there. I thought those guys really locked in, settled in. That's an opportunity, if you're not careful, that your team can kind of lose focus. And I thought our guys, really retained their composure and went right back out and really executed well within that drive. And I think that set us up for what we were kind of looking to do the rest of the game.
Regarding Deneric Prince and Anthony Watkins, are they still on the team, or
Yes.
they're still on the team?
Yes.
If you could just comment on how you think the offensive line played, what do you think the best things they did, and what do you think they need to improve on most?
Well, you look at those five guys. I mean, there's five guys that were in the game that have never started a game, at least the ones that we started, right? So Then we had an injury go down, and then, Muskrat was able to come back in. I thought he really played well, but that's probably the only guy that really had true starting experience coming back. So I thought those guys handled a lot of different looks the other day. I mean, if you looked at it going into the game, they're about a 25% blitz team. I think by the end of the game, it was more like 57 to 60% of the time they were blitzing. And they were getting it from a lot of different areas. So I thought our guys did a nice job being 5 new guys up front of handling a lot of different looks, a lot of different pressures, bringing blitzes from the boundary, from the field, bringing it straight up the middle. So many different things right there I thought they did a nice job with. We've got to continue to improve in our run part of it. And I thought that's an area that we've really got to focus on this week. We got to get back to who we are. We got to be able to come off the football. We got to be able to play on the other person's grass there. We got to be a little bit more physical in that standpoint. And I think we have the tools and the guys up there to get that done. But again, game one with those guys in the position that they were in, I thought they handled things really well. Our expectation of them is pretty high, but we've got a lot of room to grow, I think, still there.
You guys lost a number of pretty tough games at the start of last season, and then everyone, you rebounded and were able to go on that run. Does that give you more confidence about the makeup of this team after a kind of a gut punch like that for week one in order for them to bounce back?
Well, anytime you go into a game and you end up going double overtime, I mean, anybody can win at that point, right? And so I thought we had opportunities earlier in the game that we could have put this game away and didn't take advantage of those. We got to do a better job in that sense. But I do think in the makeup of our football team, I think guys understand the ebbs and flows of college football, the adversity when it hits and how we have to respond and what our answers are when that does happen. And so I think our guys have approached it right now the right way. Obviously, we step on the practice field today looking for them to go out and have a great workout and expect nothing less of them.
Coach, after Davis's career high game last Saturday, you're going up against Northern Illinois team that I think gave up over 11 yards per completion in their first game. How does that impact your planning and preparation for them this week?
Well, obviously, we're going to break them down as we've done and try to find our advantages and where we can take those advantages. They had a corner last week that I think got Defensive Player of the Week as well. I had 2 interceptions in that. So they got some talented long guys in the secondary. We got to do a good job in our route running parts of it, getting ourselves open. Again, we've got to be focused in on working through the offense and not trying to push things, not trying to make things happen, just taking what they're giving us. This is a team defensively that has shown a lot of different looks throughout last year and this year. I know they base have a 4-man front, but they've shown, the Okie front, they've shown 3-3 stack, they've shown a lot of different things. So early in the season, it's hard to prepare for what you're really going to get as you step on the field with them. So we've got to be prepared for all of those things. They fly around defensively. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So we've got to do a good job of getting our eyes in the right spot and taking what they're giving us.
On the other side of that, is it going to be more important this week to establish the run game, or are you going to try to just take what the defense is giving you?
Well, we're always going to go into it with the idea of trying to take what the defense is giving us, right? I mean, if the box is heavy and you're trying to pound your head against the wall right there, that's not real intelligent. So we're going to take what they give us from that standpoint. Obviously, we want to improve our rushing attack, and we'll continue to keep working towards that, but not at the dismay of just that's all we're going to do and not do anything else, right? I think we've got some talented receivers that we got to be able to work and use. I think our tight ends are continuing to grow and continuing to mature, and I think they're going to contribute a lot more. Our running backs the same way, and so we've got to continue to be who we are. We want to be balanced, but if you're going to take one away, we're going to try to do the other.
You mentioned the injury to Herbert on the offensive line. Is there an update for him?
Yeah, I mean, it's still day-to-day right now. I mean, most of the time with injuries, I mean, we're just going to kind of see how that plays itself out. But we don't do a lot of commenting on that part of it. But he's day-to-day. I think he's in a pretty good set mindset, so we'll see where he goes.
And Newhouse also?
Yeah, again, we'll wait and see what the doctors say.
Coach, the defense really hasn't given up many big plays in recent years. A couple big plays, though, against Wyoming. Do you attribute that to anything, and how do you work on fixing that?
Yeah, to say we've done a really good job about being a little bit more limited on explosive plays. Explosive plays are going to happen throughout the year and throughout the game. Our biggest focus in that area is when an explosive play happens, is getting that guy on the ground and being able to line up and play another snap of defense, right? The other day in those two explosive plays, we didn't get the opportunity to do that. One of them was just a communication coverage breakdown, and the other was just a good route, just got us, right? And so we got to do a better job staying locked in. But I got a lot of faith in our defense and what they're able to do. I thought they played extremely well. I mean, you take away those two plays right there, I think, in the third quarter they had 3 and outs. And so we've got to continue to play the style of defense that we're playing. I think those guys are playing downhill. I thought we tackled well for the first game. I thought we had a lot of hats to the football. We got to continue to keep doing those things, and I think we'll be okay.
Coach, leading up to this game, a lot of the talk was around Davis taking care of the football, not getting any of those turnovers. Then on the very first play, unfortunately, different type of turnover, but turnover nonetheless. Can you talk about maybe what you said to him following that play and just how he handled that mentally following that?
Yeah, I thought he handled it really well. I mean, obviously, we had a safety blitz, boundary safety blitz off the edge that we didn't get picked up, and we got beat by the 3 technique, so you had 2 guys. He was wanting to get the ball out of his hands at that point, but one's running right down his grill, if you will. And so I think his attitude as you look at it, it's next play mentality, and I thought he did a really good job of kind of departmentalizing that part of it, putting it away, and then stepped right back out. I think the very next play, we threw it to Keelan, and he picked up 11 yards, and we're not going to shy away from that part of it. I thought he handled it really well, bounced back, got in rhythm, and, those are some of the unfortunate things that sometimes happens when you play this position.
Coach, coming up on the home opener, what do you think about what TU is doing to get fans to the stadium and involved this year in all the game day festivities?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think we're going to have one of probably the best exciting type environment for the city of Tulsa, for our fans, for TU fans, whether you're talking about the tailgate and whether you're talking about the concert series, whether you're talking about the new kids play area out here, the jump houses that are coming in, the field at Bill and Thomas's Pavilion that is spectacular. And then you add on top of it just some of the cleanup renovation parts of it and just sprucing that side of it. I think fireworks are going to be happening. There's a lot of things that are going on, even from the tailgate standpoint. Most of it's free. You come into the stadium, I think it's $1 concessions. So I think it'll be a great family-friendly type environment. I think you'll have an absolute great time when you come. We're going to play exciting football, give you something to stand up and cheer about, and hopefully we'll have a great crowd.
$1 hot dogs, $1 soda, and $1 popcorn. Are you going to have Mama Monty set some aside so you'll have some for postgame?
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but we'll try it.
Any other questions, Coach?
Everybody good?
Can you talk about the 3 guys coming back from injuries and how their performance was, or how you thought they played, and the importance of them having them back?
Yeah, I'm guessing you're referring to Keelan Stokes, John Michael Terry, and Kadarian Ray. Yeah. We've got a few others that kind of fall into that list too, but those 3 guys, I thought they were obviously key into some of the things that happened positively for us throughout the game. I thought Keelan had a spectacular game, obviously. I think he obviously had over 100 yards. 160 or something like that on 11 catches. Kadarian, I thought, was playing lights out. I mean, really coming downhill, filling gaps, making tackles, did a great job into coverage, did a great job communicating back there. Think about John Michael with the contributions that he made throughout the game. You think about the last stop down there with him recovering the fumble, I believe. And so those guys were instrumental. I think they're going to be that way all year long. We got to continue to keep them healthy because they are great leaders for our football team, but also great players for us.
Coach, what would you give your grade on Coach Olson's leading the defense? How do you think he did in his first game as a defense coordinator?
Yeah, I'll never give him a grade, but I thought he did a nice job. We're all, as a coaching staff, we're all in this thing together. We're all going to make some good calls and we're going to make some tough calls, right? And so as you kind of work your way through it, I thought he did a fantastic job. I told him after the game, my first game as a head coach here, we went into overtime. His first game as a DC goes into double overtime. Those are extenuating type circumstances that kind of just throw you into the fire and let you go. But I thought our defensive staff and I thought our offensive staff did a nice job as we prepared and got our guys ready, and we'll continue to stay confident and strong in all of those things.
If you could talk about the running backs that are on the depth chart right now, if you could talk about how they played. I know you played 4 of them last week, and just talk a little bit about how you think they did and how they're doing.
I thought those guys all did a good job. I mean, not a ton of experience in that group right now. I thought Steven Anderson played really well. Really did a nice job when he had the football in his hands, picked up some tough yards, some short yardage things, had a couple of good pop runs. I think he had an 8 or 11, something like that, a couple of those. When you're thinking about Jay Ford and Bill, I think those guys bring a dynamic part to our game. Obviously, those guys have got to slow down just a little bit, be a little bit more patient. I think they were a little amped up and trying to make big things happen every time they touch it. You got to be calm about what you're doing, but I love the talent. We're always been a running back by committee group. We'll continue to do that. I thought Taj came in and had a couple of good runs, did a couple of nice things. One time on a pass pro, he picked up 2 different guys, and so it was good to see those guys operate. I think they are going to continue to grow as our O-line grows, and good things are going to happen for us.
Looking at NIU, can you just talk a little bit about what you've seen out of Rocky Lombardi? And is that the best football name you've ever heard, or is that up there?
Yeah, I mean, when you start with it, and we read something, I guess it was yesterday. I guess he is not kin to Vince, and he was not named after Rocky Balboa. So try to take both of those things off the table, but that's a great football name. I'll give him that. I think he is a really, really good operator. Does a lot of good things. He can keep you honest with his feet, but that's not where he's really trying to do. He does a great job of operating their offense. He has lit some guys up in the passing game throughout his career there. And so you've got to be aware of all those things. You look at them offensively, similar in the way that Wyoming was, a lot of heavier type packages at times. They're going to keep you honest in the run game, do some play action stuff off of that. And so I think he does an outstanding job leading and operating their offense. He'll be somebody that we have to deal with when it comes on Saturday.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thank you.
Thank y'all. I'm going to go out this way. Hey, appreciate y'all coming. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.